Alright everyone, happy Easter, welcome back to the channel. There's some ASL stuff to go over. It's been a while. Been a long while. I can't remember exactly how long, but well overdue. And what we have is, to start off with, is board number 4. Why am I looking at board number 4? I'm looking at this because I found some files on the interwebs. And as I mentioned in the previous video and did a little show and tell, we have 3D printers in the new space that I'm working at within the library. So having printed all of the Commands and Colors Napoleonics terrain tiles off, I ventured along the same vein looking for similar like items that I could print and found some files that a gentleman had posted for some squad leader boards. That is why we're looking at this. He has a number of boards on there. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to say who. I don't know the legality of this. I can't imagine 3D printing an ASL board is illegal. I guess if you mass print them and sell them for profit, you may run into an issue with Mr. and Mrs. Hasbro. But otherwise, I did find some files on there, and he has, oddly enough, boards 2, 3, and 4, and I think maybe 5, 18, something like that. A handful of boards. I scoured that thing for board 1 and could not find board 1 anywhere on there. That is the board. That is the bee's knees. I couldn't find it, and I can't understand why he didn't post the files for that. The only thing I can think of is that maybe there are multi-level, multi-story buildings that possibly require supports, although I'm not sure on that either. I don't know. Seems weird that he would have these other boards and not board 1. Again, board 1, in my opinion, is the board. Anyway, I went on there, and these are files that you have to pay for. The gentleman put time and effort into creating them, so I understand that. It was not expensive at all. And I'm looking at these boards and I'm thinking, well, which one do I want to print? And to the eye, probably should have used better other criteria, but to the eye, this is the board that I decided I needed. Maybe in the future we'll do more, but he has the files. Well, actually, he has the files when you download them. They're probably the size of 1 hex, so you need to enlarge it. And he had said that the files should be spaced out such that they're the same size as the board, and thought about that too. And, well, why do that when you can go bigger? Bigger, better. And so that's what I did. I purchased the files for board 4. It comes in 16 files. So all that means is that this entire board is divided into 16 printable plates that you can print out and connect and create board 4. What I have done is blew these up by, let's actually leave this here for scale. I blew these up by 4,500 times to get this. Now, I have a long way to go here, but this is roughly where on the original board 4 map these locations are. So the end of this, roughly in here. Now I do have, these are 2 sections as mentioned. You will have 8 for half a board or 16 for the total board. And these are green because that is the color of the tough PLA, as they call it, that was in the printer. Green tough PLA. I did start with yellow, thinking I will paint these anyway, and then the yellow ran out. I was able to do the 2 boards and the yellow ran out. So that was the first 2 boards. And then I loaded it with green, and by George, I don't know why. But the color looked better. Well, but also, again, I don't understand the ins and outs of 3D printing just quite yet, as well as perhaps I will at some point. But the end result of using green tough PLA is I felt like maybe a millimeter or two thicker board, heftier. I don't know why that would be, but that sure seems to be the case. So then I thought, well, I'm going with the green. So I've managed to print off 4 in green, 2 in yellow. The 2 in yellow I think I'm just going to trash and go with the green. So 4. So I've got, do the math, 12 more to go. 2 when I return to work, assuming the printer doesn't blow out, which it is done. We'll get to that. 2 are currently printing, probably done. I can't get in there today because it's Sunday, but Monday I can sneak in there. It's my day off. Grab those 2, start 2 more. So that Tuesday when I come in, I will have half of this board complete. All right, let's run through some numbers. Well, also after the 3rd and 4th board printed, the printer conked out. We couldn't figure out why. Don't know why. Tried everything. So we put out an order on, sign on it so the kids couldn't use it, and let it sit there for about 3 or 4 days. And then one morning I thought, I'm going to try this again. And again, no rhyme or reason, it started printing again. Go figure. Don't know. But anyway, I am extremely pleased with these boards and how they've turned out and the way they look now on camera. It's probably going to be, the color of this green is a little bit, actually a lot a bit darker than probably what you're seeing. But anyway, if we get into some numbers, the hex size for a traditional ASL map board is about 3/4 of an inch, which brings us to the deluxe ASL map boards. Now, when I got home, I thought, these must be very close to the deluxe ASL size map boards, and I busted one of those out. Well, no, that's not. Those are still bigger at 2 inches. So what are we looking at here? Here we are looking at 1.5 inches on the hex size. So how do I feel about that? Well, actually, I feel like it may be perchance better than Deluxe ASL. Deluxe ASL is great, but I feel like the boards are maybe a little too big. Now, I understand why they did that. They wanted you to be able to use micro armor miniatures at one point. I don't know how many people actually did that. So I understand that's the reasoning, but I felt like it was perhaps unnecessarily big compared to this. I feel like this is the Goldilocks sweet spot of hex sizes. I've always felt that the original ASL map boards are too small. I understand table space, blah, 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 but once you get into stacking, etc., it just gets so fiddly with trying to mess with your stack, and then you've got information counters. It can be a challenge, but this will allow you to comfortably fit 3 squads and a leader without stacking and have room left over. It is just a wonderful thing. So there's that. Now, I know what some of you are already thinking. We will get to that. Don't rush. The guy was clever enough to have the numbers of the map board each hex print out. Some of these numbers were engraved or built a little bit better than other numbers. Maybe they can be cleaned up. It's not really an issue in my opinion. He also was able to print the center hex dot, which is actually a physical hole in each of these guys. So if you get a traditional toothpick and break off the end, these are tapered at the end, fits in there somewhat. Maybe there's a bit too much room, but and again, that in my mind that means I could do something by way of marking a hex if you use flags for off-board counters. Why would I do that? Because I'm weird. So that's what I've been considering. The other thing to consider is when you stack on top of a woods hex, it's doable. The guy did it where you can make that happen, but since it's 3D, it just looks a little weird to be stacked on top of a canopy of trees. So that's why I'm thinking of just a representation information counter to represent a number of squads or leaders in there. Now, other things to consider, none of this is removable, so we couldn't pop this off and then just place our counters there, which also means using overlays on this 3D printed board is out. Not going to happen. So there's that to consider as well. As I look through my notes. So again, this is board 4. I still have a lot of looking to do, but I was trying to look and see if there were any scenarios that were specifically just board 4. Now, there's a lot of scenarios that use board 4 in concert with other boards. And again, I didn't scour the scenario archive, but I believe there has to be at least one scenario that just uses board 4. And if there's not, that's not the end of the world. As I custom create my own scenarios anyway, I could easily make use of this, no problem. Another thing, on my channel, you may or may not have seen the Perry Miniatures Travel Battle Sets. Just by way of comparison, you get 2 of these in a set, right? 2 of these boards. This is 100 squares, 10 by 10. So 2 of these is, 200 squares. And then in comparison, for bang for your buck, and I understand it's a different era that they're representing here with what they're doing. I get that. But with this, just 2 of these boards, I'm looking for, is about 100. Is that what no, about 80. I think I came up with 80. So just 2 of these boards is about 80. So if you get 4 of these together, you will have not exactly, but close to what you get with 1 of these boards. So half a map, printed out map, or 8 of these will get what you get in the Travel Battle set by way of movable spaces. Why do I bring that up? I don't know. Actually, yes, I do. I bring that up because the Napoleonic half of my brain, it's half squad leader. Here's how my brain is these days. Let's do this correctly. It is probably right now, it is 1/4 ASL, but increasing. Maybe 1/4 fantasy. Right now, Middle Earth stuff, that's waning. And probably half Napoleonic stuff still. But anyway, that half of my Napoleonic brain says, let's look at the travel battle stuff and see, would we be able to place figures in line on a hexan? Well, yes, you can. And that pleased me pretty good. Yes, they will fit. And there would be your cavalry. So this is also doable. And it again, to my eye, that looks pretty darn nifty. So that got me excited. What else? I already went over some of the cons with the overlays and stacking on the woods or a house. Like, again, how do you stack on a house? Well, you pretty much can't with the slanted roof. But these are minor quibbles, in my opinion. It just looks so good. I really wish 3D printing was affordable enough that M&P could do this and provide these as an option for people, but I understand. Other things that I was looking at while I was on this site, there are printable 3D dashboards with all your scenario information, your generic scenario information that you use from scenario to scenario. You could print out a plastic one of those with your phases that you can mark, etc. May end up doing that as well. But I and you guys should thank whoever did this, because it has rekindled and kind of sparked anew my interest in ASL. And, well, just this morning I took down, this is the big table, and I just took down a huge dungeon crawl tile setup thing, and I thought, it's been months and months of this. I've really just spun my wheels with it. While it has been fun, nothing concrete has come out of it. And that's not to say that what you do has to turn into something solidifiable, if that makes sense. So, but anyway, I thought, yeah, I'm ready. Let's switch gears here. So here I am, potentially treading down the ASL road and perhaps some Napoleonic stuff as well. But that is also dependent on getting some more of these boards, which, again, by Tuesday, I should have a full half board, ASL board for. And then depending on how much more I decide to print, we'll go from there. But options for this, obviously you can paint this. Don't know if I will. This looks to me like it would be something you get from the game company. If you bought it, it would just be printed like this, and I don't know why, but that kind of appeals. Yes, you could print it. Would not be hard. You've got your roads, hedges. You could even leave the empty clear hexes, just the green that printed out in the 3D printer. Wouldn't be hard at all. But something about this also appeals to me. So there is that. Other news, ASL speaking, and this is perhaps coincides with my dipping my toe back into the ASL waters. I was going through, actually what happened was I saw Wardrobe unboxing a ASL Starter Kit magazine, and I thought, wow, I've been out of the loop that long. I didn't even know this thing was coming. What is this? What's going on? So I looked that up, and then in looking that up, I realized, and I have tried to keep up with my ASL collection as far as things being released within reason. There's some historical ASL hassle stuff that I haven't pulled the trigger on because I know it would probably just sit there, and it's expensive, and the theater doesn't particularly interest me. Like I'm a little burned out on the Eastern European theater, and the Sword of Manila, Philippines thing didn't really grab me either. The Panerai thing that's coming out, again, that Eastern theater Kursk stuff, I don't know. It just doesn't grab me. However, I did notice that when it comes to some action packs and some Winter Offensive, I've fallen behind. So I've tried to re-up my inventory there, and I went to, sorry MMP, but this is what I did. I went to the Gamer's Armory, one of my favorite places to go for ordering ASL stuff, and picked up, in a single order, mind you, the Basic Training Issue 1 for Starter Kit ASL, the magazine I mentioned, a tiny action pack of Arnhem stuff, ASL Arnhem 2024. Arnhem, one of my all-time favorite battles to recreate, represent, depict. Got that. And then picked up 18 Oktoberfest and number 19 Roads to Rangoon. These were two action packs that I had been missing in my collection. Followed up with two Winter Offensive packs that had fallen behind on number 15 and number 16. So that is 6 items that will be coming at some point. Oddly, I have not received an email confirmation for my order, though it was paid for. Nonetheless, I fear not. These things will be on their way soon enough. So there is some ASL stuff heading our way, I feel. Even been listening to, as of last night, to refresh some ASL rules videos on YouTube as I fell asleep. So yeah, I sense some ASL stuff coming. But we'll see. Stranger things have happened. So there is an update on that. These boards are great. If anybody is particularly interested in these boards, where I got them, just post in the comments and I'll let you know if it means that much to you. Otherwise, I'm not going to say. I don't know what the ramifications of this are. I don't want to get the guy in trouble. But, yeah. All right, so I hope everybody has a great Easter. That's that. We'll talk soon. Take care, everybody.